Live. All right, go ahead.
Welcome, Lake Stevens School District, to the Swimming in Tech Hangout. This is Chad Brandt, 4th grade teacher at Sunnycrest Elementary. I'm here with Phil Biggs, our technology techtosa, and he is going to be helping me out with this. But let's jump right in with segment 1, the Google Apps Freestyle. Today I'll talk to you about embedding a webcam picture into Google Apps. So this will work in Docs or Slides or other Google Apps, but I'm just have a blank document here where I'd like to embed a picture straight from my webcam. So students can do this on their Chromebooks since there is that embedded webcam right in the screen, above the screen. And if you are ready to insert your picture, it's just basically inserting an image. So in the Insert menu, you'll find Image. Click there, and you can see you have a number of options. You can upload an image from your computer, just take a snapshot of yourself, or paste in a URL, etc. Lots of options. But to use your webcam, you just click over to Take a Snapshot and click this red button. Pretty simple, so you can take a snapshot of yourself. Geez. And if you like that picture, you can just select it over here, click Select, and you can see it'll upload it and put it right in the document. So as much as everyone is going to want to have a document with my image in there, there are some other reasons why you might take a picture. One particular use for this would be to use a webcam to maybe upload student art. If you just hold anything right in front of the webcam, you can hold some student art up there, take a snapshot of it, put it in a document, or maybe a slideshow if you have each student put their own artwork on a different slide in a Google Slides presentation, then you can have that running for some sort of presentation. But one other application that Phil clued me into was having students take a picture of their own artwork and then embedding that into a document, and then have them add a description of the steps that they took. So for example, just something easy here, I could just hold up my work reducing fractions 5/15 to 1/3. I could hold that in front of my webcam, just take a snapshot, and you can take multiple snapshots here until you get one that you like, and then select the one that you like, click Select, and it uploads, and here you go. Now the student has a picture of their work right in the document. Then they can click below and maybe add a description of what they did to reduce this fraction, etc. Another use of this, though, if instead of having the student type their description, they could also record using something like Vocaroo or an audio recording program where they could then embed their recording in the document. A lot of different ways to do this. As soon as you show them how to embed a picture using the webcam, I'm sure you can come up with a lot of cool uses for this. When the students are on a Chromebook, one last note though, they might have to, or they will have to, allow access to that webcam. So make sure they click that Allow button so that the webcam can actually see them. Eager to see what you come up with for using this tool with your students.
Hey Chad, one thing you could show really quick is reiterate what we did a couple weeks ago, where we could crop that image down and just show the problem. I know you were resizing it, but that might help people too, since you got a few minutes. I got about a minute here.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, back to my screen here. So I didn't zoom in very closely on my image, and if you remember from a few weeks ago, this button here will allow you to crop the image. If you click here, you can see we now have these black handles at the corners and the sides of the image. I can drag, I like dragging from the corner, it gives me 2 dimensions at once, and just crop out all that extra stuff. Although, Phil, who wouldn't want to see my face?
Oh, yeah, that's
I don't know.
True.
There we go. And then that would be something good to show your students, to focus right on the work at hand instead of all the excess distraction. Thanks a lot, Phil.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. My other dream on this one, Chad, is eventually something like Kaizena, which is an add-on to Google Docs will actually work fast enough that kids could actually speak in that explanation, and they could do 3 or 4 of those rather than that laborious typing them out kind of thing. It's coming. We'll figure it out.
I agree. Good point. Good point. Yeah, the tools are just getting better for that. Let's go on to segment 2, the Moodle Medley, and this one's yours, Phil, using the HTML block.
All right, let me share my screen here. And what we're going to talk about today in our little Moodle segment is setting up a area on your Moodle site where you can share resources that you would want your students to go to first and foremost. So, for example, I've got our starting a Moodle course up here so you can see it. And if you look down the left-hand side, we did a little about the instructor that we showed a lot of people how to do last summer. But right underneath that is a block. And a block in Moodle are always these little actually miniature web pages is what they are, that run on the sides of your content. So this one, I've built a block called Moodle Resources. I put some links in there, and I leave it up pretty high up on the course so that it's really easy for people to find more information about that. So how would you use this in a class? Well, this is especially useful in an elementary, but it's really for anywhere, because what it does is it says, hey, these are the sites that I think are the best ones. These are the ones we're always going to start with. I want you to go here first. Then if we can't find some information, we'll go out and we'll do some searching for more specific things that you want to know. But these are our go-to sites. I'm guaranteeing you as a student that they work well. So what we're going to do today is really quickly show you how you can set one of these resource blocks, links blocks, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, that will allow you to quickly put some information there that kids can use. Now, Chad, I've seen you use this in your class. I know that you keep one of these all the time too. So it really works well for elementary. So I've got a little course over here that I started called just my big science course. Really, I created it just before this, so it would be pretty clean and there wouldn't be a lot of things on here. I've turned on editing already, because in order to add a block, you have to turn on editing. And how do you know that? If you don't see anything except the course, you got to turn on editing. I've used a collapsed format that Chad talked about last week. And to add a block, again, once you turn on your editing, you just scroll down to the bottom, and the very last block on the left-hand side will always say add a block. Now you'd say, okay, I want a resource block. Well, there really isn't a resource block. You can look down through there. What it is, it's an HTML, or like I said, it's a mini web page inside your web page, which is exactly what you're creating. So I want an HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language. Of course, everyone knows that. Just the language that you build web pages in. Click it. Boom, it's all done. Not. Where is it? We have to scroll down to the bottom again, because when we create a block, a new block, it always adds it right above the add a block on this one. So what I want to do is I need to edit this and add some content to it, or add some resources to it. We always look for the gear, right? So we look for the gear, and we're going to configure this new HTML block. So we come up here, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a title. Now let's just say I'm on a science class and we're studying lions. I know that would never happen, but we're going to use that for an example here. So that's going to be my title. Maybe I'll say Lion Links. Get really creative here. And then there's very few options on this page. All I need to do though here is I'm going to add in my HTML content here. So let me see if I can pull. I'm going to go over here and do a new tab. Let's just do a information about lions, and we'll do a quick search here. And here we go, lions.org. And so we're going to say, oh, this looks like a great one. We're going to do this page. This is going to be one of our links. And by the way, I used to do this all the time with the kids in the computer lab. I always had a series of 4 or 5 web pages like this that I had pre-picked, that I knew that they could find most of the answers to what they needed to when they're working in their classes, just because I didn't want them wandering around the internet. Okay, so we're going to say it's lions.org. So now I'm just going to come back to my Moodle course. I'm going to type in lions.org site, and then remember, I don't know if you noticed, but I copied this when we were there, that URL, and I'm going to come back over here, highlight, and pop open my whole editor, and I'm going to click on the link here, and I'm going to add in the link to that one. I want to open that in a new window because I don't want kids to lose my course page, and we'll create that link. And there you go. Now all I have to do is just keep adding things in here, and I'll have a nice little list of 4 or 5 Lion sites. Now the other thing is I cheated, and I'm just going to come here. I've got a Google page or Google Docs page here that I found a few more. So let me just copy those, and I'm going to paste them in, because one of them just wouldn't be as interesting as we go through this one. So I've got those in there. Now, the only other thing with a block, we talked about this before when we talked about adding the Google Apps block, is where do we want that to appear? Now, in this particular course, notice I don't have anything on the right, so I'll push it to the very top on the left-hand side. So if you remember, we found it on the left side of the page, and I'm going to go -10. I'm going to force it always to be at the very top of the page. And I'm going to come down here on this page. So remember, there's always 2 places. And I'm going to say on the left, at the very top. And yes, I do want it visible right now. I'm going to come back and talk about that in a second. And there we go. There's my list of links. You can see that I've already visited these, so it's in green. I haven't on these yet at this particular point in time. And I look at that and I say, I need to fix that. Got too many blanks in there, so I'm going to come back. I'll fix this again, and let's just clean that up a little bit. Click in the right spot, and I'm not quite sure why we're getting that space there, and I'm not going to spend the time fixing it. Let me save that again. We'll take a look at it. So there we go on that one. So I got this nice little thing, and as long as we're on our Lions unit and we're working through that particular information, I want this to show up. However, 2 weeks from now, we're done with the Lions unit. So what do? Well, you could add another one of these, and we could get a list, and your page could scroll for, pages and pages and pages just because you've got all these little blocks. That's not going to help your students. When I'm done with this, what I can do is I'm just going to come up here and click hide the Lions block. Now you notice it's dimmed out. It's still there for you next year when you're ready to come back and do your Lions unit again. All you have to do is show it again. When you're done with it, you hide it again. So that's another reason why Moodle and blocks are so useful, because you can begin to chunk things and keep them all for you, but only show the kids exactly what they need to see at any given time. So by building these little resource blocks, you save hours of class time, really, when you consider how many kids wander and wait around looking for things. And you only have to do it once, because next year you come back, you click it, check to make sure the links work. I always found one was dead by the next year. Fix that, and you're off and running. And it's a great tool for you. It's really good for your kids, and I would give it a try. Chad, you do it. Maybe you could give a little testimonial too.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredibly useful. I have one up at all times, and it's really the thing that helped me finally cut the cord from my Google site. I had a Google site that I used for my classroom website before I jumped on Moodle, and now I no longer need that because that's so easy to put up links there, and I no longer need my Google site for that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great tool. I couldn't teach without it if it was me. I guarantee I couldn't do it.
Well, thanks, Phil. I think it's up to me now for segment 3, diving into search, and talk about searching the web with OK Google. Now, I I use OK Google way too often on my phone these days, but you can do it on your computer, on your teacher computer at your desk, or students can do this from their Chromebook as well. If you're on a Google search page, you'll see that there is a microphone over here to the right-hand side of the search box. Now, if you don't have OK Google enabled, like I don't, you can still do a voice search just by clicking on this microphone, and then Google will show you that it is listening for you and you can do a search. Like, I'm just going to search for the weather. Since I'm signed into Google, Google knows my location. It'll give me the local weather. I'll click here. What's the weather?
It's 55 degrees and clear in Westlake, Stevens.
What I love about searching by voice in Google is that if you've asked a direct enough question, Google is smart enough to give you exactly what you were looking for and actually speak the answer. Yes, you get the regular search results like you would with any Google search, but it will actually respond with the information that it thinks that you're looking for. Now, to turn on OK Google so that you can trigger one of these voice searches just by saying OK Google, if you go back to a search page, I believe on the Chromebook, by clicking on the microphone here, it would take you to a settings page where you can actually enable OK Google and your students can enable OK Google. But if that is not working for you, you can find that setting in your settings. So of course your settings over here in Chrome, here's the menu button. Click here, settings, and the fourth entry down here is search. Just by clicking on this enable OK Google to start a voice search, the Chromebook or computer where you have it enabled will always be listening for those two magic words, OK Google. And as soon as it hears those magic words, the next thing you say will trigger a Google search. So let me try that now. I'll enable that. And I'll go back to this page. Let's see if I need to, I should probably refresh. And I'll do this all the time when I'm having a conversation with a friend and they'll ask a question like, oh, did you just hear that Marshawn Lynch just re-signed for 2 years with the Seahawks? And I say, yeah, man, that's just perfect because it'll probably take him to the end of his useful life as a running back. Oh, how old is he? Well, let's ask Google. Okay, Google. And all of a sudden, the OK Google voice search will come up, which it did not do for me. Let me see if I can go back to google.com.
I think you might have to be at google.com, Chad. I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's see. Well, it still says that it's not showing up there. So, okay, Google. Still not working for me. I've got it enabled. I remember it was working last time when we were testing.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, Google. Okay, Google, why are you not working for me? So I guess we can't show you how.
Chad, you and I can agree that because then we would accidentally say, okay, Google, and then we would search on each other's Chromebook on the Hangout.
That's what happened last time when we were testing this out. Is you said, okay, Google, and my computer chimed in and started listening just by hearing you say, okay, Google. Well, I'll work on this while you're doing segment 4, but you can just say, okay, Google, how old is Marshawn Lynch? And now they're not even reading the result to me, although they did during our practice. So I will iron out those results and see if I can get this polished up by the end of our Hangout. So Phil,
okay,
I'm just...
Google. Hey, it worked on mine, Chad. So
well, if you want to...
I just verified that it does indeed work. So in fact, I can verify. I will prove that in our next segment. How's that?
Okay, sure. I'll just toss it to you then for segment 4, the long course, and you'll be talking about some teacher tools in Hapara.
Exactly. So everybody thinks, a lot of people use Hapara all the time, and we've been sending out some emails lately, though, to talk about this new update that Hapara has done. So don't take it for granted. By the time we come back from spring break, that's going to be just about the break point, you are going to have to access Hapara Teacher Dashboard in a different manner. And tech mentors will be scrambling probably at that point to show you. But we wanted to start to kind of introduce that beyond the emails that I've been sending out to people. And you'll want to look for those as we come towards the end of March. So let me share my screen here. And we will show you what it looks like. Now, quite a few of the Lake Stevens teachers were actually beta testers on this particular product. We got people in early on to be able to see what Hapara Teacher Dashboard looks like. They gave lots of suggestions, lots of ideas to make it better, and this is what they've come up with as they change. And again, this is it in March. You cannot get there anymore except for coming in this way. The first thing you need to know is the URL has changed. Honest to God, I can't tell you what the old URL was because it was just so long and laborious. It is now teacherdashboard.com. If you can remember that URL, which I think you can always get to Teacher Dashboard. You don't have to go to the little Hangouts. We've changed the bookmark under the Lake Stevens bookmark. If you use that at the top of your screen, you will automatically go to the new version of Teacher Dashboard, not the old one. And several teachers have told me that the old web app icon has disappeared for Teacher Dashboard too. So if you've been using the old, I always said it looked like a samurai sword, gone. You can't do that anymore. So this is what the new version of Teacher Dashboard looks like. And this is with my little test class with my 4 little students in here. Whoops, let me get back to that. And when you first log in, lots more color. It just has a more modern look to it. It really doesn't have more functionality for the most part on that. They've just rearranged things, tried to make it easier for you to find things in here. So in my dashboard, you'll see here's my folders that it's created for my students, because this is an elementary class. At the middle and high school level, you'll only see one folder up here, so you don't have to worry about that. If I've distributed sites to kids, which we have not done yet, but we could, you'd see it there. And then if we use Blogger with kids, you'd see their posts and comments, and you can see better icons, lots more graphics on the screen. If you look at each individual student, and you notice as I roll over, you may have noticed that little bar at the top pops up, and it has these colored bars on it. You can actually add kids to more than one group now. And if you click on the pencil icon for editing, you can come in and we can add several groups to those kids, and that gives you a lot more flexibility as you begin to try to do some more differentiation between kids, sending out files. If you're still using this to do that, you can do it pretty easily that way. Same thing, you can roll over. Let's see, most of these are blank. You can see the thumbnails of the documents that they've done. Since these are fake kids, you won't see much there. If you want to, a lot of people have noticed that the old Teacher Dashboard no longer does the sorting. It's because they're doing away with it. So they're starting to take away features of that one so that they can make sure it works in here. But you can sort by first name, last name from here. Let's see, we can try it. We'll sort by last name. You can watch it resort, we hope, for us. Yeah, there we go. So Dusty now is up there in the front. And the other thing that another thing that they've done in the new version is they don't call it Smart Copy, they call it Smart Share. And when you do this, it's all on one screen, so you don't have to drill. Remember, you had to go through like wasn't that right, Chad? Like 5 or 6 screens you had to go through. Now it's really all in one screen.
More than that, yeah.
Yeah. It was confusing, and then going back and forth and things like that. So Smart Copy, much cleaner. You might as well open it up and let people look at it, huh? And you just come down through here, make all your choices, you know, what kind of document. I don't think that's changed at all. but I don't think you could do drawings before in the old one. I think you could only do spreadsheet, doc, or a slideshow. So they've added that in. The other thing, no, I wonder, Chad, I would have to ask a secondary person. I don't know that you can add more than one class at a time, but maybe you can on this one, on that. But I'll cancel out of that and we'll bail on that one because the rest of it is pretty familiar if you've been using that. Again, the other thing too is if you really ever want, if you're not seeing all your kids, hit the refresh button. I'll click up on the Gmail tab, and you notice that these are just bigger, they're easier, there's visual clues to let you know what you're on. You see the rollover, a little bit of a shading there. But remember, in Gmail, you can see everything in the inbox. And then Alicia here, you see quite a bit of email because I've been testing Google Classroom with these students quite a bit, so you're seeing more on that one. Any email that they might have sent, shouldn't be anything here. And trash. One of the things they found is my mom always used to get mad at me because I would not empty the trash, and we had major fights over that. I can tell you today that kids still don't know to empty the trash because they never remember. So if you suspect something, you can always go check all of those. The sharing tab, if you remember, that is anything that's outside of their shared folders that Hapara sets up for you. So in this particular case, these are all files that good old Jerry has done outside of the shared folder. And this one actually, I know because we did it as a project out here at Caballero. This was actually a folder in file, I mean, in their classroom folder. So if you do use Classroom and Hapara together, you come here, you can still find a lot of the classroom folders in here as well. The other thing, I don't know if you noticed, but over here it says there's this list, and you can list how many of the most recent items you want to see at a time. And you notice on Jerry, he's got 6. If I go to 3, I'll only see the 3 most recent documents. And that's a good way to get more on the screen. If you know you're just looking for the most recent thing that the kids have been working on, shorten that down. If you say, hey, I'm looking for something they did about 2 months ago, you're probably going to have to go to 25 items to find it for most kids. A couple of other things on this one under sharing is that when you look under public, this is has anyone shared this publicly out there? I think we have this cut off so that kids cannot share externally or publicly with the whole world. But if you suspect it, that they're sharing with someone outside the district and you're worried about that, you can come right here and check it right away. You can also look to see all of the documents that they've shared externally outside the district. And again, if you want to, you can just look over here and it's like pretty much see all the docs that they've done ever. And again, this is in their shared, their teacher dashboard shared, in their just in their regular Google Drive. You can see everything. So if you're just kind of looking around for things, you can find it. Where this is really useful is when you ask the students to create it in a specific folder, they forget, and you want to get the grading done. If you come here, you can generally find it. If it's pretty recent, you'd be able to go find that, do the grading, talk to them later, and not ruin another evening of yours because you have to come back and grade 3 papers because they didn't get in the right folder on that. And also, remember the old trash? Kids never remember to empty the trash. So here's Jerry. He's pretty lazy. He's got 2 things that he didn't empty out of there. So there's a couple of things that there's things that you can do there. Interact is what, well, I think that's, Chad, that's what they've been calling it all along, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, because
as far as I remember.
Before they called it Hapara Remote or something.
Remote control maybe or something?
Remote control, that was what it was. Yeah. So now we call it, they call it Interact. And let me pop here again. So I've got Jerry and Alicia here all logged in next to me. They're sitting right beside my desk with me here. They're being really quiet. But you can see these are the first tab is, or the first tab up here, the browser tabs. Again, which tabs do they have open, so I can see that Jerry's got the primary links. He's got, and he's in a new tab right now, which was where I was testing the OK Google. We're going to look at that in a sec. Oh, whoops, I said OK Google.
Love it.
It is definitely working. So if I go to the current screen, it shows me exactly what they see on the screen. Now see that OK Google right there is ready to search for me. And it tried to search on a whole bunch of words like that just now. Alicia over here is on a National Geographic site, and that's what she's looking at this particular point in time. I'm going to make a few changes, and let's just see what happens. So both these guys just changed screens. Let's go back to Browser tab. And if we look, you can see, whoops, Jerry's now on primary links, and Alicia's looking at her Google Drive. If I want to get a quick screenshot, I can go to current screen, see what we're seeing there too on that. Look, I mean, it's the same functionality. It's just a cleaner look. These screenshots are better because they give you everything the students are seeing on the screen, not just little bits and pieces. The other thing that you need to know is if you're in here at any given time, this isn't refreshing all the time for you. So if you want to refresh, you would just click the little refresh button over here, and that will show you if they've changed. So if I click refresh again, watch Alicia, she changed to a different screen, so I can see that. So if you really are kind of sitting on the side of the room trying to see if someone's doing something, if you suspect something inappropriate but you can't walk up to them and see, you could do this. That's about the only time I see where this is useful on that. The other thing is, again, all the icons. So you notice the icons change here. So that we could also open a link just for Jerry. So we say, Jerry, that we really want you on that National Geographic site like Alicia is. Well, I could come up here, and it just says, type in the URL, and see if I can spell correctly here. So I'm going to open that for Jerry and get him back on with us. That can save you a lot of time. So if I look here again, now we're both on the National Geographic. Now Jerry's actually on a different, and we hit it before that screen had fully loaded. He's not on the exact same screen as Alicia is, but we're close enough. I think we could get him there on that one as we go through. You can also, if you click up here, do it for the whole class. You can send a message to every student if you want to, or you can just send a message to individual students. The other thing too is, again, if it's really something that you say, I probably should document this, you can take a picture of each student's screen too by just clicking there on the little camera. And now I've taken a picture of this, and I have this now for pretty much forever. And where does that go, Chad? I'm just all of a sudden trying to think of that right now.
I don't know. I've never had to take a picture.
I'll pop open my email. It kind of looked like maybe, oops, not there. It might be going to there. We'll find out on that one. Because
that's what I would think, since that's where the emails go when you decide to copy an email.
And the idea is to maintain and save that. So it would probably it would email that to you directly. The other one is in the class info. If you look, it's much cleaner, much nicer screen. You still have everything that you want to. If you want to reset passwords, if you notice, before they used to say something like ice cream or something, now they actually randomly generate a strong password for you to change it. But you can come in here and change that to something if you wanted to. And then again, if you are going to change a student's password, you should always just say, force them to reset it on their next login. So the next time you can give them an easy to use password, but if you click this force reset, it will force them to put in a good password on that one. And again, you've got you can get the student list, and you can get it in many different formats so that you can use it in different for different things, different reasons on that one. Here's just, if you just want a list of email addresses, it's there. The other thing, I don't think people know, but a lot of times people will come to me and say, I don't have this student in my class anymore. Well, the add remove students used to be so tiny nobody noticed it. If you notice now, if you don't have to scroll down very far, if you scroll down a little bit, you can do this. So if I need to get rid of Dusty, I just click there and he's off my list. It's not deleting him from anything else. It's not deleting any of his data. It's just getting him off my list because he's not in my class anymore. The other one that we've seen is sometimes the teacher will say, Jenna came in this morning and none of my folders were showing up. She could see everybody else's but not mine. All you need to do is come to this class info tab, click the fix class folders, and boom, give it. Most of the time when I've done this, you give it a minute, at most 2, have the student refresh if they need to. A lot of times they don't even need to refresh. It's all there in their Google Drive, so that helps. Remember, you've got a class email address. Here's the class folder that you can go into and show you all the different folders that you have for each class, and it's still hard to know which one student is which. That's why we prefer Classroom a lot of times. But you can come in and you can see this is good old Dusty. This is his folder on that one.
And that's the only other thing that I was going to say is back on when you're on the dashboard tab.
Oh yes, that's right.
Then I use this another thing I use all the time, especially when their folders start getting huge, is clicking on that folder icon, and that's the easiest way to open up that student's actual folder right on your screen, that entire folder.
I'm gonna click on Jerry there. Let's take a look at him. Yeah, that's true. And things he's working on. One of the things we found is kids can create folders inside their class folder. And so one of the times we were experimenting with this is have each of the students, because it gets kind of cluttered for them, if you can still see everything that's inside the folder because it's in the shared folder, but when they're done, just have them slide it into a folder called finished work or something, and it will actually help them in the end too, because at the end of the year, Hapara gathers all this up and they archive this for the kids into their own Google Drive folder, creating pretty much a portfolio that they can keep for life. Anything that's in these shared folders, not anything that's in their Google Drive, they don't mess with that, but anything in the shared folder. So that is a great tool. The other thing too, Chad, I guess I should show, is that you can email students at any time too up there. However, most people prefer using the interact and sending the message that I've heard, where you can just pop this up and I can send a message to Jenna's not a very good one. Let me do Alicia here. Say she gets distracted easily. Now I don't know if I can capture this fast enough. I don't think I can when it pops up. But let's just try really quick. So that was Alicia here. I don't think it's going to show that message. Let's just capture the screenshot. But in the lower right-hand corner, they will get the message. Yeah, it doesn't capture that because it's not actually part of the web page. But that's a useful tool too. I've seen a lot of people when they're at training do that too. So,
Phil, just to wrap up the conversation about the images, I just saw there, I was actually paying attention, and at the bottom of that image when you took the screen grab, it said if you want to save it, do a right click and do a copy save.
Ah, that's true. See, reading directions, yeah, and then you would just save that into your Google Drive if you're on a Chromebook, or into your downloads folder or something on a Windows machine. So that is, we'll be sending out more information. It's not a lot different. It just is cleaner and nicer, I think, to use on that one. And Chad, I've gone over time, but it was an important topic. I'm going to let you take it and finish it up.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this edition of Swimming in Tech. Our next meet is next Monday, March 23rd, right at 4 p.m. Pacific. We hope everyone has a great week.
All right. See you later.